Welcome back to Moonlight Productions. My name is Adam. Today, let's talk about the state of New Jersey. The Garden State was the third state to be admitted into the newly founded country of the United States. Some of the most well-known battles that took place in the early stages of the American War of Independence took place in New Jersey. Optimistic battles such as the Battle of Trenton and Princeton. In contrast, there were some pessimistic battles, such as the Battle of Fort Lee, where men died and lots of supplies were salvaged by the British. New Jersey was settled as a state, becoming the third state to join the Union on December 18, 1787. The Garden State is the fourth smallest state in terms of land area, as well as the state is home to the 11th largest amount of residents. There are about 8.9 million residents, or 2.65% of the entire United States, who call New Jersey home. The state capital is Trenton, which has a population of a little over 82,000 residents, which is the 34th smallest state capital in the country. Although New Jersey doesn't have an actual population increase going on in the Garden State, early indications think New Jersey will have fewer residents at the end of the 2030 census than what was reported in 2020. However, New Jersey does have some things about the state that are quite appealing, so why don't you stop spraying that spray tan, as I could bring you the good and bad about New Jersey. The fifth worst thing about New Jersey is the eternal civil war. If there's a portion of the particular state that is very different from one end to the other, it's New Jersey. For example, northern New Jersey tends to be more of an urban area that's influenced by New York City, while South Jersey is more in relation with Philadelphia and nearby Pennsylvania. But it's not just the differences in those cities. The politics, the lifestyles, the cost of living, and the housing are all part of a cold civil war in New Jersey. However, to be humble, this isn't a massive reason to move to New Jersey. It's just something to keep in mind when moving there. If nothing else, you could argue what happens in New Jersey is nothing more than a glorified sports and a team rivalry. The fifth best thing about New Jersey is the proximity to New York City. New York City is one of the most expensive cities in the nation, but it's also one of the most loved cities in the country. So many people who live in New Jersey are more than willing to commute to the Big Apple to see all the history, food, culture, and other tourist activities like the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, or Broadway. If you want to know a lot about New York City without having to deal with the cost that comes with living in New York City, consider moving to New Jersey to save a buck. The fourth worst thing about New Jersey is population density. Do you want to live in a place where you get some personal space and freedom from other residents? That's too bad, as New Jersey is easily the most congested or densely populated state in the country, with over 1,200 residents per square mile. So even though the state doesn't have a city with over 300,000 residents, with those kind of numbers in New Jersey, there isn't much space that you're going to be able to muster up. This even makes things like traffic throughout the state quite tough to get around. So you might need a bike if you want to live in the state's more urban areas. You can make it work in a car, but you might have to put up with heavy traffic. This contributes to some of the stereotypes about New Jersey residents as rude. But no worries, we'll get there. The fourth best thing about New Jersey is the Four Seasons. If you're someone who likes to see a change in scenery without needing to move to another state, it would be best to consider living in New Jersey. The state is known for the spring to winter times. Living in the beach or visiting for the weekend, surprised you want to see some slopes in the winter for winter activities. If you're going to see different colored leaves throughout the various trees in the state, it's just a quality change that if you want to see things change throughout the year, consider New Jersey. The third worst thing about New Jersey is the cost of living. The cost of everything in New Jersey is one of the highest in the nation, and I don't know why. A lot of this comes from being so close to New York City, so people are willing to commute to the city. Such a lot of the outrageous costs from living in New York City bleeds into New Jersey. The cost of housing is near 70% higher than the national average, or around $408,000 homes in the state. Transportation, schooling, groceries, utilities, they're all higher than the US average. And to put this into perspective, if you only had $100 in your pocket, that $100 is actually only valued at $84 in New Jersey. So make sure you have a good job lined up before heading there. The third best thing about New Jersey is the beach towns. Beach towns are frequent, and there are so many to choose from in terms of the water quality or the number of different types of beach towns in New Jersey. There are close to 1,800 miles of shoreline in New Jersey. There are states with more shoreline, but they're not in terms of excellent quality. The only knock I can give New Jersey in terms of all these towns is they have to put up with hurricanes coming from the Atlantic. However, New Jersey isn't as bad as other states like Florida or North Carolina when it comes to having to deal with the hurricanes. The second worst thing that one can experience in New Jersey is the culture clash. This one's sort of interesting, as most people who look at New Jersey residents think that the residents are just a bunch of rude, selfish a-holes. It is and it isn't. Most New Jersey residents tend to talk louder and are more likely to speak with less breath in between their words, although this results in many people thinking New Jersey is a state that's just filled with a bunch of rude a-holes. I mean, I did see one stat that claimed New Jersey has some of the most discourteous drivers, which I guess makes sense with all the people in the state, with how much infrastructure is going on. People have their days overall ruined. But New Jersey isn't the most rude state. I mean, people do have their days, but that's a normal thing. The second best thing about New Jersey is the crime. There seems to be something of a misconception about crime in the Garden State. People think it's a location you should avoid and that it's just a ginormous, dangerous mess. While there are some locations in New Jersey that aren't safe here at all, like Camden, for example, overall, New Jersey is a very safe state. Of course, no state is immune to crime, but New Jersey has some of the lowest rates of aggravated assault and property crimes in the nation, being the fifth safest state in the nation overall. 195.4 violent crimes per 100,000 residents, being the fifth lowest in the nation, along with different types of property crimes, convert New Jersey to also have the fifth lowest score in terms of various property crimes. Burglary, larceny, and vehicle theft is 2,210 property crimes per 100,000 residents. I figured New Jersey was a big gang war, but I'm glad I was wrong this time. And the number one worst thing about New Jersey is the taxes. When the current state governor says you shouldn't move there if taxes are an issue for you, that should be taken at face value and agreed that New Jersey is not for you. New Jersey is one of the highest tax states in the nation, and it's pretty exhausting just to think about it. It's just depressing and brutal. The current state income tax is the third highest in the nation at 10.75%. Even if you make under $1 million a year, the scaling for the income tax chart is still brutal. The sales tax is 6.60%, which can get even higher with all the municipalities. Close to 50 cents for every gallon of gas when you go to the gas pump, literally hosing you at the pump. Lastly, the property tax in New Jersey is the highest in the nation at 2.49%. If you have a home in the state with the home's value at the median household cost in America being $217,500, you would be paying around $5,500 a year on that home in New Jersey. And if you're at the median value of a New Jersey home, which is $408,000, you would be paying over $8,300 a year. As previously mentioned, the taxes in New Jersey will make you cry and tremble in fear. And the number one best thing about New Jersey is the education. New Jersey is a phenomenal option for those looking for a good education in a relatively safe state. The K-12 graduation education rate in New Jersey is the highest in the nation, and the colleges in New Jersey are also very good, although expensive. With some stronger than average jobs for you to get after graduating college in New Jersey, New Jersey is one of the best options for getting an education in the country. So that's it. Those are some of the things you need to consider when potentially moving to New Jersey. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter and please share. Thank you for your time and take care of yourself. Bye.